Hey everybody, welcome to Fallout Season 2, Episode 4. This is going to be our second custom scenario of the season, and we're going to push a little bit different things with the custom scenarios. So for this one today, this is less of an army against army, and this is more of a Brotherhood of Steel team attempting to conquer a specific scenario. So we're going to use the AI rules, some cool terrain, and I'll just kind of explain it as it happens. Paladin Cormac, this is Guardian 2. We are on site of that distress call from the shoreline. We've got multiple civilians trapped inside of an old ship. We're going to set down and attempt to extract. And here we have the board for the Dead Reckoning scenario. Taking it the middle here in all its majestic rusted out glory is the Dead Reckoning. Give you a quick pan shot there. Plenty of cargo containers, rubble, debris, and ghouls. Now adjacent to it are three different islands. These two little islands here, occupied by some settlers, and on the other side, island occupied by some settlers. The third island here is where the rescue team from Guardian 2 has made landfall, and it will be their base of operations. So their objective is to get at least 3 settlers safely to their island. Somewhat complicating this task is the previous crew of the Dead Reckoning, which are perched all along these cargo containers along the length of the ship. They will be using the weak feral ghoul profile because everyone died way too fast when they used the full-on feral ghouls. And they will, per their AI cards, they will attack the nearest within line of sight. Now, these zombies will respawn at the beginning of every turn if they are killed. And you'll notice each of the cargo containers has a number on it, 0 through 7. So every dead ghoul at the start of each turn is going to respawn in. So there's a never-ending supply of these guys crawling out from below decks and out of containers. They're going to try to kill off everybody in the scenario. Now the settlers are going to complicate things by being in a state of panic. What that means is at the start of each of their turns, they're going to take both their actions to move in a random direction as dictated by our little arrow thingy. So they're going to move in a random direction. They will not voluntarily enter the water, and if they're in combat, they will strike back unarmed. Now the settlers are going to make this difficult because they are all in a state of panic, as anyone would rationally be in this situation. So on their turns, they will simply flip the little spinner marker. For both their actions, they will take move actions. They will not voluntarily enter the water, and if they're in close combat already, they will strike back with the unarmed profile. The catch is, if the Brotherhood of Steel can get within range, whatever their presence range is, they can make a presence check to flip one of the settlers to their side. They'll get a green dice in the check if they've killed a feral ghoul that same turn. And through that, we'll allow the Brotherhood of Steel to spread out along the ship and hopefully slowly get these panicking individuals herded back to the island before the zombies overwhelm us all. All right, since this is an unusual scenario, we'll just highlight kind of what the Brotherhood brought to the party. We've got 2 scribes, each with a laser pistol and stim pack. They've got a higher move speed than everyone else, so they'll be able to get onto the ship. The Lancer there has a nice long-range laser rifle, and the Commanding Knight has T-51 power armor, a laser rifle, and a baton. So he's the one-man boarding party. First play is going to go to the Brotherhood. This nearby scribe is going to take an easy yellow distance considering the water's difficult terrain. We end up on this box as their first move. Their second move will take them all the way to here. Thought about having them shoot at this ghoul on the edge of the ship, but they'll count on cover from their teammates for that. So they'll move over here to the treasure marker, and it's an item. And the winning card is sturdy leather armor. Well, that's probably going to help their survivability a lot. And while that scribe makes a fast and furious change of clothes in the middle of the ocean, we're going to jump over here to a settler. We have randomly selected this guy here. He is still in panic mode, so he's simply going to move yellow in this direction, but will not enter the water. In his second move, he'll basically stay put. And we've randomly selected this ghoul right here to make the first move. They're going to make a yellow move with an orange jump down, so no damage on this one. These containers are orange in height. And then for the second move, still pursuing the scribe, they'll jump down and splash into the water. Background to the Brotherhood of Steel, the knight sees that he's going to have to get into the action in order to cover his teammates. So he will make a yellow move up the ramp, and then an easy red charge into the feral ghoul. Our panic settler number 2 will move back down. He only moves yellow, so we'll put him over here next to his friend. And second move, as irrational panicky people do, goes right back to where he was. And for the feral ghouls, we're going to default to the one in close combat who's going to take a swipe at this giant tin can that just ran up the ramp. I can't believe I've gone this long without rolling a dice yet in this game. It's freaking weird. All right, hitting on 3s. Solid. That's 2 damage against 3+1 armor. Easy day. Second shot, hitting on 3s. That is hard miss. Back over here at the island, the Lancer is going to try to cover the scribe with some easy shots from the laser rifle into the halfway submerged ghoul. Hitting on 7s because marksmanship. Solid hit with an extra damage. 3 energy damage against 2 energy armor. All right, they take 1. Feral ghouls, if you didn't know, have 4 health each. So that's what it'll take to bring them down. Second shot, same ghoul, hitting on 7s. Another good hit with an armor break this time. The bottle cap we rolled allows 1 damage to go straight through armor, so they take 1 right off the bat, and then it's 1 damage against 1 armor. Takes another. This guy is on his last leg, or swimming, whatever. Over here at the back of the boat, whatever the nautical term is there, this settler is going to go next. Still panicking. That's not even physically possible. There we go. They're going to go backwards. Don't really have a whole lot of room, but we'll balance them back here. And then for their second move, they're going to stay there. So we'll wobbly model them to be perched on the edge of that rock. All right, our next ghoul contestant is this guy up here. He is yellow above the deck, and he's just going to drop down. We'll roll a black die to see if he takes damage. Potentially 2 damage. 2 physical damage against 1 physical armor. All right, he takes 1. That's gonna be a bad sprained ankle for jumping off that. Not that he cares. And then he'll come out to the edge of the boat and splash into the water as his other move. The only other contestant for Team Brotherhood is gonna be this last remaining scribe. We'll take a red movement to come up behind the knight, and we'll squeeze off a shot at the elevated ghoul. Yellow and a green for the laser pistol, hitting on 4s. Not this time. Our final settler, not a huge amount of damage, but still panicking, is going to move up the ramp. Dangerous territory there, bub. Nope. And then for a second move, up the ramp some more. This guy is either going to get rescued or eaten in a hurry. The ghoul in the red container is going to shuffle over, drop down orange to the deck, and he will try to do a charge, but being a ghoul, he has to check first. Agility 2 for the charge. He makes it. And he has just enough room to slip into the crowded space right there. Our final ghoul, good news for this settler, the scribe is the closer target, so he will try to pounce. Scribe's getting kind of popular. He will drop orange distance down into the water, and will try to make a charge. Agility 2 for the charge, does not make it. And so he simply moves into base contact with the scribe. All right, and that's where we stand at the bottom of turn 1. Brotherhood has spread out a bit. They still got their sniper here doing Overwatch. The scribe is getting to be very popular. We've almost downed this ghoul. We've got a bit of a tango going on with this ramp. The settlers largely haven't moved except for this one guy in the trench coat who is making a break for it. Let's move on into turn 2. Our event card for turn 2 is going to be clear. It's a nice sunny day out on the lake. or ocean or whatever. So any blank faces on the black die will be treated as -1s. I will try to remember that. Starting with the Brotherhood Scribe, who really is not in a position that they want to be in. There's some floating debris over here. They're going to try to make a break for it. So they will declare a yellow move into the water. Zombie gets a free swipe, normally hitting on 3s, but quick action, so hitting on 1s. And definitely not hitting on that. Scribe is able to do a difficult terrain move into the water. And is not quite in range for a presence check. So they'll simply move up onto this beam. For the settlers, the bold man in the trench coat is going to get this first move. He is still panicking, and perhaps unwisely, he's going to move forwards to the edge of there. His second move. Now he's intent on that direction, so we'll give him a jump down, controlled fall, and we'll see how he does. All from between orange and yellow, but he is jumping, so just the 1 dice. Potentially 2 damage. That's 2 damage falls. I'm starting to think that this rusted out Hulk might not be safe. All right, 2 damage against 1 armor. Oh, he takes 2 damage from that fall. What's worse news for him, though, is in the absence of anything from the Brotherhood, he's now the closest target for quite the feeding frenzy. Speaking of, the ghoul that charged last turn is going to attack the knight. He's going to get a bonus black die from his charge and a bonus green die for having a buddy in combat. Hitting on 3s. Solid hit, 3 extra damage. Is 5 physical damage against 3+1 armor. Oh wow, so they blocked 2. The worst part of that is T51 power armor's bonus is 3. The armor takes 3 damage and breaks. It's a shocking display from the zombies, and now he's going to try to do it again. No black die for the charge. On 3s. 3s it is with an armory break. This guy's got a grudge. 2 physical damage against 2 physical armor. Oh, wow. The paladin takes 2 of his 5 health. Thankfully, he can shrug off the rad damage, because even broken, his armor gives him a rad armor of 4. Meanwhile, back on the shoreline, the Lancer is going to try to melt the last hit off that zombie. Hitting on 7s. Solid hit, plenty of damage. Goes right through. This ghoul goes down, but they will respawn at the start of next turn on a random shipping container. For the second shot, they're going to do a long bomb into this guy right here by the boat. Still hitting on 7s. Hit, 1 point goes straight through, and then there's an armor break. 1 energy against 1 armor, and they block it. Our next settler contestant is this person perched on the edge of the rock. She will move up the rock for her first, and then gonna back up onto the ramp. Back over to the zombies. This zombie in the red is gonna go after the knight. Bonus green die for having a buddy, hitting on 3s. Man, these guys are just killing it. 3 damage and an armor break. 3 damage against 2 armor. 2 armor save, takes 1 more. The knight is now down to his last 2 health, and the zombie will hit him again. 3s. 3s it is. 2 damage against 3 armor, so if the die shows a 4, he goes down. Nope, takes 1 more. And very much in the style of Paladin Cormac, this guy is still holding his ground. And conveniently, it's a Brotherhood turn, so the knight is going to look at the field scribe behind him and be like, hey man, could you throw me a stim pack? Stim pack will remove all 4 damage he's taken so far, maybe giving him a fighting chance against these ghouls. Swinging with his baton, he gets 2 green die for the baton, 1 black die for being stupidly strong, and another black die because he did charge last turn. He's going to swing at the ghoul on the left, hitting on 7s. There you go. 3 damage against 1 armor. Takes 2 damage. Second shot without the charge bonus, same target on 7s. 6s armor break, that's good. as he sort of side kicks this guy off the ship and opens up a path for the field scribe. Back over here with the settlers, the guy on the ramp is going to get to go next. He will go back down the ramp. Might actually be a wise move, buddy. His second move will be this way. He's going to join his buddy over here and be like, do you see that crap going on there? All right, it's ghoul o'clock, and our random selection picks this guy here. His nearest target is going to be the gentleman with the broken ankles. So he will attempt to make a charge. Charging on 2s. He makes a charge. I did forget to mention, since he started his activation in the water, he took 1 rad, which healed his 1 damage. Boarding the ship and rolling to attack the guy. Black die for the charge, green die for his swipe, hitting on 3s. 3s it is. 2 damage against 1 armor. Oh, 2 damage it is, and on top of his broken ankles, this guy melts under the onslaught, and the first settler is down. What that means is, in order to win the scenario, the Brotherhood now have to rescue all 3 of the remaining settlers before any more die. If we lose 1 more settler, the game ends in a failure. Back over here on the ramp, our final contestant for Team Brotherhood is going to scamper over to these barrels, and we'll see what they have in store. Another item draw. And the prize is a dose of fury. Because what you really want to do on the job is take a bunch of drugs that you found in a random rusty barrel. Welcome to the Wasteland, kids. After a little bit more scampering, the scribe's final position is here. If they can get down the ramp, they can start to switch these 2 characters over to the Brotherhood side and maybe just snag some lives. Speaking of, our final settler, and fell off the table. Let's try that again. Final settler. He's pretty much staying where he is. Move number 2, and he's staying where he is. I don't blame him. But with the final ghoul, we had to take some measurements because it's very close between this settler and the scribe, but the scribe is just about 1.5 inches closer. So zombie's gonna take some difficult terrain moves, sloshing through the water towards his target. That concludes turn 2. Big developments there as the first of the settlers is down. We've got 1 over here, a scribe nearby who might be able to come rescue them. And then on the back, those 2 gentlemen are looking pretty safe for now. And we got a scribe on the way. The trick is, before we start the next turn, we have 2 ghouls who have been killed, so they're going to respawn in a random location. Gonna roll a d10 and try to match it to some of the numbers on the crates. Crate number 5. Crate number 5 is right here behind the field scribe. That's a nice surprise. And crate number 7. That one's not too bad. Crate number 7's way back here in the back. So he might do okay. Apparently everybody breaks ankles jumping off that thing. So we're back up to 5 ghouls, moving into the next turn. Our event card, I apologize if I forgot any of the clear rolls. Yeah, completely spaced on it. We got a dust cloud for some reason over the ocean. So there's gonna be no attacks at long range. That could be bad news for the Lancer. Now right off the bat, the same scribe is gonna go first for Team Brotherhood. Make a difficult terrain move over onto the rocks. They're now within range to try a presence test against the settler. Field scribe has a charisma of 3. The settler is so far unconvinced. Our settler movement jumps over to the other island. This guy. He's gonna pretty much stay there. And he'll back up a step. Otherwise, he's staying pretty safe. Default to the zombie in close combat, who is going to swipe at the knight. Hitting on 3s. Negative. Knight is going to use his prepared action to respond, and will be hitting on 5s with his baton. Not even close. Finally, the ghoul again on 3s. Nope. Swinging back around to the Brotherhood, this scribe is going to take an orange jump down. No damage worry on that. And he'll finish out his move, going down the ramp. Puts him just a little bit out of range. So he will take another action down. And hopefully we'll be able to get with these individuals, get them on board next turn. Conveniently, our random settler is right next to him. He's staying here, staring off into the distance. Still staring off into the distance. He's just zoned out. Our random ghoul here has finished his meal. He's going to start sloshing it back into the water towards delicious targets which are up here on this rock. Now our friendly neighborhood Lancer has a clean shot on this guy, but since there's no attacks at long range, she will go ahead and take that shot, since if he moves, he'll be out of her range. Hitting on 7s, that's a 9. Hitting on 7, second shot, that's still not good. Final settler is here. She's got ghouls closing in and hopefully maybe a friend closing in. So let's see what she does. All right, she will advance towards the friendly individual, presumably with a battle cry of "Get me the hell out of here!" And then she'll back right back up. Very indecisive, these panic people. Finally, our splashy ghoul down here will try for a charge. They've got yellow charge in the water, so they could make it if they're lucky. They're only lucky on a 2. This is a lucky ghoul. All right. Man, that is some straight, like, it came out of the deep imagery right there. Rolling on 3s, black die for the charge. Oh, this is the nasty ghoul. Armor break, 2 extra damage. That's 4 damage, 1 armor break, which would normally go right through the armor, but this scribe picked up the sturdy leather armor earlier and will still have 1 defense. So 4 damage against 1 armor. There you go, only take 3. These are ghouls, so we will flip one of those over to rad damage at the end of the attack. And it's up to Big Tanker Man to close out Team Brotherhood. Hitting on the baton, black die for being stupidly strong, still hitting on 7s. 7s with a bonus damage. 3 damage against 1 armor. 3 damage it is. The follow-up shot can take him down. No, not quite, but at least he gets his prepare action. All right, the only contestants left are the last 2 ghouls. We're gonna go ahead and move them and show you where they end up. All right, this guy jumped off, surprisingly did not break anything, splashed his way out to the end of the boat. Over here, this guy pounced off of his red crate, ran up along the side, failed his agility charge, but now that he's moved in, we're gonna go ahead and use the Knight's prepare action to strike back. There's a quick action, so we're hitting on 5s. And that's a miss. So some hopeful news here at the end of the turn. We've got a scribe down with these 2 guys and not a ghoul in sight. So with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to get them up onto the ship and across to safety. Over here is a different story. Ghouls are closing in on this one little island here, and it's just an injured field scribe and the 1 settler. So let's move into the next turn and we'll see how things pan out. Our event card for this turn is a distant boom, which I'm going to assume is Scorpion shooting another nuke. All right, leading off the Brotherhood turn, our 1 lonely scribe over here will take their own stim pack, which unfortunately will not heal up the rad, but it will give them 2 health back. Going to try to valiantly convince the settler one more time on a charisma of 3, and they make it. So the settler has now been added to the Brotherhood of Steel team, and since they have not activated yet, they will get to act this round. The field scribe will now try to shoot the feral ghoul in close combat with their laser pistol. In close combat, so hitting on 2s, swings wide. So the scribe is in a really dicey position, but they have accomplished their main goal, which is getting that settler calmed down and ready to move. Remember, they only need 3 settlers in order to win the scenario, so let's go check out the other side. Our randomly selected settler is going to be this guy with the pistol. Two will stay there on the shore. And we'll then back up to the other side of the rocks. Moving over to the ghoul's turn, we randomize the ones in close combat and end up with the ghoul on the left. Rolling an extra green die for having a buddy in close combat, hitting on 3s. Clean miss. Second swipe. There's a hit with an armor break. It's 2 physical damage against 2 armor, and he'll take 1. Since Tankerman's doing a good job of holding this ramp, and he wants to keep holding the ramp, he's going to put some shots into the ghoul that's on its last legs over there. Swinging with his baton on 7s. Solid hit, double armor break. That is more than enough to put that ghoul down, but they will respawn at the start of next turn. The ghoul will take a reactionary swipe, which is good because the second baton shot is heading for its head. Ghoul is now hitting on 1s. Nothing doing. The knight is hitting on 7s. There we go, extra damage. 3 damage against 1 armor, and he takes 3. Our last remaining settler is going to move to the edge of the rocks, and then back this way. And the half-drenched ghoul, clawing out of the ocean, is going to try to drag the scribe down after it. Hitting on 3s. Solid hit. That's 2 physical damage against the sturdy leather armor the scribe's wearing, which is also 2. And blocks 1 of it. Unfortunately, the scribe has no rad protection, so that damage will be flipped over to a rad. Second ghoul swipe. Not on a 5. Yeah, the scribe's going to call out to the settler and tell him, "I'll hold him off, get out." The settler is not going to argue, because they work for the Brotherhood now, or they're convinced. Trying to do this one-handed. Going to splash into the water and start slogging their way towards something resembling dry land. There are no more unaligned settlers, so we're going to jump over to the ghouls. And this one is going to start sloshing their way towards the scribe. Over on the Brotherhood turn, the Lancer's not going to have any of that. It will put some shots into the nearest ghoul. Hitting on 7s. Oh boy. Second shot. Man, you are just not making your paycheck today. As the Lancer tries to remember which way the power pack goes into the las rifle, the last ghoul is going to attempt to make a charge on the scribe. Charging on a 2. No. So he will simply slosh into base contact and will make 1 attack. Landing an extra green die for having a buddy nearby. Oh, here it comes. 3 physical damage against 2 physical armor. And the scribe is pulled down into the waves. On the other island, our last remaining scribe is going to try to convince the nearest settler to join their cause, or at least to listen to them. They have killed a zombie this turn, so they're going to get a green die on this charisma check. Charisma check on 3s. Good check. Managed to break his emotional armor with that one. This settler is now on Team Brotherhood. Scribe trying to convince the other settler on 3s. Nothing. That wraps up this turn. Very tragic and exciting things going on. The heroic scribe has gone down, but has freed the settler, who is now making a break for the safety of the island, relative safety. They're going to be pursued in a crazy foot race by 3 hungry ghouls. Not a great situation there. The tanker guy is holding his ground pretty well. He's taken some hits, but has beaten down the ghouls. We've got 1 settler on the other side who will start making his way across, and only 1 ghoul who's going to be respawning this round. So it's kind of a test now. If we lose any more settlers, the Brotherhood will lose, but if they can get them on board, it'll be a Brotherhood victory. Our event card for this turn is a new presence. We've got a mysterious figure stepping from their hiding place or surfacing or showing up in a dinghy. I don't know how that works. We're going to add an investigation marker green from any battlefield edge. Our one ghoul is going to reappear on cargo container 6, which it's hard to see there. The 6 is just over the Dead Reckoning sign, which means this ghoul is going to reappear ready to get right back in the mix. Now, per the scenario, the Brotherhood of Steel will maintain the objective marker the entire game, and this is more of a PvE scenario, so we're just going to put it here where hopefully it'll be someone friendly. Start of the turn, the starting gun for this race is going to kick off. The settler will take 1 rad damage for being in the water, and we'll kind of splash our way across an orange and an orange, trying to get to dry land. Our last holdout on Team Settler is going to run forwards. That's good. And then to the edge. The ghoul is going to default to the one in combat, who's going to take some swipes at the tanker guy. Hitting on 3s. No hit. Second swipe. Still nothing. And while they're reloading, the Lancer is going to come over here. Try to get a clean shot to cover the settler, and also take a look at who our stranger is. And the cargo container opens up to reveal a Protectron, a damaged Protectron who stumbles out, still on its guarding routine. It will not attack, but it will wander around and could possibly explode, which is always a good time. Protect and serve. Maybe. We'll find out. As our second action, the Lancer is going to take a shot into the first of the ghouls. Hopefully remember to load the weapon this time, hitting on 7s. You just can't catch a break, can you, buddy? That ghoul is going to activate for the next one. Take a stumbling slosh through the water. And if they can make a charge, they'll make it into base contact, but if they can't, they'll just have to settle with an orange move. Can they make the charge into 2? Yes, they can. Absolute horror show as the ghoul struggles to make it through, but is not able to make an attack this round. Over here, the Brotherhood, the Knight will swing his baton into the damaged ghoul. On 7s, solid hit with an armor break. That is more than enough to knock this one into the drink. Now the Knight is also equipped with a laser rifle, hitting on 6s, and he's going to try to be a big hero or an absolute villain and shoot down at the ghoul, which is running up on the settler. Hitting on 8s for shooting into the combat. Oh boy, someone's getting on fire. But who's it going to be? On a 1 or a 3, it's going to be the ghoul. A 2 or a 4, it'll be the settler, and probably an awkward conversation back at home base. And it's the ghoul. A 2 damage against 1 armor with the armor break. All right, he takes 2 damage. More importantly, and kind of hilariously, he's going to be set on fire in the ocean. Welcome to Fallout, folks. One of these ghouls is going to activate. He'll shuffle up orange, and out of range for the charge, he'll simply shuffle up to back up his buddy. I say buddy, maybe they're not friends, maybe they don't know each other. That's not important right now. What is important is the field scribe over there is going to try to convince our last holdout to join the cause. On 3s with a green die because they have killed a ghoul this round. There you go, very convincing. And whether from survival instinct or peer pressure, this settler has now agreed to join the Brotherhood team, so it's simply a matter of getting them all over to the island. His second action, the scribe is going to turn and move to the top of the ramp, just in case we get a ghoul spawn in a very inconvenient location. The ghoul facing off with the Brotherhood of Steel Knight is going to try to make a charge. Charging on 2, negative. So an ordinary close combat attack on 3s. Just barely. This can be 2 physical damage against 3 physical armor. All right, takes 1. Brotherhood turn, our earlier convert. He's gonna move up. He'll just come in, tuck behind the friendly field scribe. As the final ghoul turns around and hustles in to join the party. Finally, the Protectron is going to move in a random location at the end of the round. All right. We're going to come right down here, splash into the water. All right, this is likely to be the single most important round. We've got 2 settlers coming up the ramp, and there's really not a lot of ghouls in their way, and the only one who is tied up with the boss man there. Down over here, here's where all the action is. We've got 3 ghouls running down 1 settler who's being covered by a very incompetent lancer and this random stumbling Protectron. So let's see what happens going into what is probably the deciding round. We have 1 ghoul to respawn on 5. 5 is going to be this red one right here. It could mean trouble for these guys, but yeah, what kind of harm can 1 ghoul do, right? All right, over on Team Brotherhood, the single most important objective right now is this settler. So they are going to go first, which unfortunately means they're going to take a rad immediately, simply for being in the water. They're going to declare an orange move out of combat up onto the island. This is the chance. This ghoul is coming up on one with a black die. This could take him out. Ghoul hitting on 1s. No, clean getaway. Once up on dry land, we'll take a yellow move to get to the other side and relative safety until the other settlers can arrive. We'll move to the ghoul in close combat with the tanker. Close combat hitting on 3s. Good hit. 2 physical damage against 3 physical armor. Blocks it all. Coming in for another swipe. And it's a miss. Coming back over to Team Brotherhood. The Lancer is going to put some shots into the injured ghoul before he can heal up with the rad water. Rad water, that's terrible marketing. Hitting on 7s. Still nothing. Hitting on 7s for shot number 2. There you go, that's a hit. 3 damage against 2 armor. No, he's down. This burning corpse of a corpse finally sinks beneath the waves. So here's an unexpected twist. The AI cards for the feral ghouls dictate they will go to the closest in line of sight, which right now is the Protectron. So this ghoul is activating, and he will try to make a charge into the friendly robot. Making a charge on 2. He cannot charge. He is close enough to move into contact with a normal move, and will take 1 swipe. Hitting on 3s, not a hit. On Team Brotherhood, the Knight is going to swing his baton into the ghoul. On 7s, oh, that would have been beautiful, but no. Second swing on 7s. There you go, armor break, extra damage, good hit. It has 3 physical damage, straight through the armor of 1. Bringing this guy down to his last leg, foot, arm, I don't know, he's a ghoul. Meanwhile, this last ghoul who's in the water is going to try to make a charge into the Protectron. Charging on 2s. He can charge. All right, so he's hitting on 3s. He's got a bonus green die for his buddy and a bonus black die for his charge. On 3s. Just barely, wow. The Protectron has physical armor 4, but on a 1, the damage will get through. Nope, he doesn't care. It's worth noting, as soon as the Protectron takes a single point of damage past his armor, he will initiate self-destruct because he's a sore loser. For the Brotherhood of Steel side of things, the Scribe is going to scamper up to the top of this container, and we'll put some shots into the ghoul. Hitting on 4s. Solid hit with an armor break. 2 energy damage against 1 energy armor. He takes 1. More importantly, he's blocking the ghoul from getting to the settlers because the ghoul has decided it's charge o'clock. Rolling on agility 2. It is charge o'clock. Ghoul taking a swipe with a black die for the charge on 3s. Oh, all right. Well, our poor field scribe only has 1 armor, so they will take 2 damage. Let's set them down here. One of which is going to be rad. And then the only ones left are the two settlers who we have moved up the ramp, both moving their full distance, and they're coming up in the last choke point. If they can make it past the night, given how well he's been holding that gap, I think they'll have a clearing shot down. Of course, we still have these two ghouls to contend with. Now, the funny thing about the Protectron is the card says he'll move in a different direction, but it specifically says he will not attack. So he's not actually going to attack those guys. He's just going to try to wander somewhere else. More specifically, he's going to wander in that direction, steering around impassable objects, so he's going to try to come around these guys. Quite naturally, they're both going to try to bite his ankles as he does. So, contestant number 1, hitting on 1s for the quick action. Nope. Contestant number 2, hitting on 1s for the quick action. Hey, there we go. 2 damage against 4 armor. Oh boy. So normally the self-destruct would kick off the end of the robot's next activation. He doesn't really have one, and I think we've pretty well resolved the scenario. So just for fun, we're gonna go and kick off his explosion. Goes off yellow distance, so it's a good thing he didn't wander back towards the island, or that Lancer would be in for a lot of hurt. We're gonna deal 4 physical damage and armor break, bonus damage, stun, and 2 more damage. So both the ghouls are technically outside of the orange radius, so they'll miss out on the armor break and the stun effect and all that, but they will still take 6 physical damage each, and they only have 1 armor. So this whole section of the water bursts up like a sea mine and is suddenly clear. And taking a look at the board right now, given the situation here, we've got the 2 settlers about to run past. It's a pretty easy fight for the night over there. We've got the 1 ghoul tied up. We are going to respawn 3 others, predominantly in this area, if we're going to go statistical and all that. And it's been a long night, so we're just going to go ahead and call it. We're going to say the Brotherhood of Steel, very, very close, but very well-fought victory. They've managed to secure all the settlers, and that will finish the Dead Reckoning scenario. Sir, this is Guardian 2. We've pulled 3 survivors from the wreck. They've got some interesting things to say about the local raiders and nuclear material.